Good morning. Jennifer warmed you up, but I will say, first of all, it is an honor to be here in Pittsburgh, a great labor town, at such a pivotal, exciting, and challenging time for the FAA and the aviation industry. And as Dave mentioned, since stepping in as acting administrator, I have been beyond impressed at the incredible dedication, hard work, ingenuity of the FAA labor force and the work that you all do each and every day to keep our skies safe. I want to start by thanking Dave and Carlos Aguirre and the entire past executive board for inviting me here today. As Dave said, we've gotten to know each other over the last few months between contract negotiations and, I guess you called it March Madness, the administration's efforts on in-person work. It has been a lively time, Dave. And I think you all know this man is fiercely committed to you and your membership and to the safety of the traveling public. He makes a mean YouTube video, too. I've learned that the hard way. I do want to take a minute to acknowledge, I know so many of you have served our country in the military. Thank you for your service. A little bit about me. I'm actually the proud daughter of 2 World War II veterans. My father, who was a Rochester man right near Buffalo, he wanted to be a pilot, but he was too short. So they put him in the nose of the plane as a bombardier navigator. And he flew 26 missions over Europe, including, he says he was the first plane over on D-Day. And my mother was a WAC, actually, and she drove a truck in Washington and then helped organize the clerical workers at Harvard. They are, clearly a big inspiration to me from the greatest generation. Thank you. All right, it is always tough to follow the incredibly inspiring Jennifer Homendy. I want to thank her for her incredible leadership, her partnership with the DOT, with FAA. She has been a guiding force in making the aviation industry safer, and as she points out, caring so much about the workforce. You are the front lines of safety. I hear that she's trying to steal some of our workforce, so Jennifer, cut it out. No stealing. No stealing. We're all friends here. We all want the best. I also want to take a minute to acknowledge we have some of our FAA leadership here, including Jeff Planty and Larry Fields off in the corner there. You will be hearing from them shortly. We're all here in Pittsburgh to foster a greater collaboration between FAA and PASS, to share with you some of our thoughts, but most importantly, to hear from all of you. And look, I want to take a minute just to acknowledge, probably most of you have seen the tough New York Times story this morning, and just, I think, to underscore some of the things that Jennifer is talking about, a philosophy of we want 0 close calls, 0 fatalities, 0 injuries for the passengers as well as our frontline workforce. We are doing a lot of work at the FAA in partnership with you and NATCA and other members of the organization. We had our March Safety Summit. We're putting out a lot of other announcements over the course of this week on steps we're taking. But I want to thank you all. I think as Jennifer pointed out, those close calls are what we're going to be working on, but it's the equipment and the work that you all have done in our air system all around the country that help prevent the loss of life. So I really want to take a moment to thank you very much and look forward to working with you on this in the future. And look, I know, there are experts in the room, and the public doesn't always get to see the work that you all do, but I think you all know from the point of view of DOT and the FAA, we know how incredibly important it is, and we value it. I've been lucky. I've only been in this job for a short time, but also in my role as Deputy Secretary, I've gotten to travel all around the country, see your membership firsthand on towers, airfields, TRACONs, got to see the incredible work you all did out at Oshkosh, where you were helping to process record number of aircraft on your fields, providing support for aircraft incidents, conducting outreach to the aviation community. And it's funny, I think from my vantage point, Jennifer alluded to it, but talking about having sort of a picture of the entire transportation network and a pretty big picture of the federal government. Look, there is no question outside of DOD, the FAA oversees the most complex 24/7 operational system in the federal government and arguably one of those in the entire world. I mean, that system is responsible for the safety of hundreds of millions of travelers, supporting an industry that accounts for 5% of GDP and over 2 million jobs. And I'm not sure that people always understand that. And I think, Jennifer, you helped bring home what a weighty responsibility that is. Weighty responsibility for our workforce, for the agency leadership, and how incredibly important it is that we work together. And obviously, we could not do it with all of you. Safety inspectors, maintenance techs, investigators, in my opinion, you guys, you are the FAA miracle workers. You have the unique challenge in tech ops, for example, of working with some of the oldest equipment, as well as some of the most cutting-edge technology and everything in between. Radars that are 50 years old, buildings that are old, and we know how incredibly resourceful you can be, tracking down parts and often building them and machining them yourselves. And while we're maintaining those old systems, we're excited to bring some of the new technology online, like the Enterprise Network System FENS, which we're going to be relying on all of you so that that transition will be successful. We also know how much you are involved in setting, overseeing, and enforcing safety standards for all the aspects of the aviation industry: airlines, manufacturers, repair station, advanced air mobility, and aviation professionals. And I know you all know your work has an impact. I really get to see it from where I'm sitting now, not only on the US, but globally. Your work touches the safety of civil aviation, every facet of it, domestic and international. And we know your work's going to continue to evolve as we get into an era of advanced mobility. And we're counting on all of you and working with you to be able to seize, I think, some incredible opportunities and tackle some of the challenges in the politically complex times ahead. Now, Dave mentioned the contract negotiations, and I think it probably won't surprise you to hear when I got named as acting administrator, it was a nanosecond before my phone rang from Dave, wanting to talk about the contract. He's one of the first people I heard from, and of course, he wanted to make sure that that contract was high on my list, and it has been. And we've been working, I think, very expeditiously. We put a whole team on those negotiations. Dave drives a hard bargain. I mean, he's kind of relentless. But I think Dave, and I hope you agree, we've made a lot of progress. We're not quite there yet, but I think we're very close with the AVS contract. And hopefully, we're going to be working on the negotiations for the ATO contract as well. So thank you for your partnership on that. Yes, I hope we're close. And I want to say, we are committed to making sure that it is a contract that recognizes the extraordinary contributions of your workforce, and that you feel like you will be treated as you need to be fairly and in a way that is going to inspire you to continue your work. Thank you. So when I became acting administrator, I set out a few goals. First of all was to have a safe and smooth summer for the traveling public, and you all have obviously been critical to that safety focus, focusing on certification and oversight, on keeping our equipment and technology in working order. And I think Jennifer put so eloquently how absolutely crucial that is. She talked about it, and Dave did as well. One of the things we know you need to do your job are the right resources. I think all of us are working together on the budget and appropriation cycle as well as FAA reauthorization. And I feel personally how key it is that the FAA have stable and predictable funding. It is absolutely crucial to the FAA's mission. If you're following what's happening on Capitol Hill, we are encouraged. The Senate has, I think, put forward a good appropriations number for the FAA this year. We're going to continue to work closely on Capitol Hill. And Jennifer, thank you. We'll take you up on your offer to help us have that discussion up there. We're also in the process of implementing the bipartisan infrastructure law, which did grant the agency $5 billion to modernize air traffic control buildings and bring on new facilities and technologies. This also includes things like the tower replacement program, which we worked very closely with PASS on. So we are very excited to see those dollars go to bring you the kind of facilities and equipment that you need to get the job done. One of the last goals I set in my acting role was to hopefully get a confirmed administrator so that we could have long-term stable leadership at the FAA. And I know that has been we've had some challenges on that front in the past couple of years. I can't give you any news today, but I am very hopeful that we are close to having a very qualified nominee soon. And for me personally, what I'm going to make sure I'm doing in this seat, and then when I go back to being Deputy Secretary, everything I can to do to help that person get confirmed and to ensure a smooth transition. I just want to talk about sort of one last area here. I know this is, what did you call it, Dave? March Madness. So let's talk about something I know that has been on the top of mind for everyone, caused a lot of concern. And that's, I think, the administration's desire for more in-person work and more collaboration while maintaining the flexibility of telework. And that has proved a challenging thing to do, not only at the FAA, where I'll admit there are a lot of things we probably could have done better, but other federal agencies are grappling with this as well. And, you know, particularly the focus, again, for your membership, a lot of your membership that are either operational or in the field or inspectors, this really doesn't apply to them. It's really to talk about folks that were previously in the office a lot and how we can increase that collaboration and in-person work. We do believe that as the aviation industry grows more complex, we have new entrants into the national airspace, particularly advanced air mobility, greater traffic and greater complexity, and that's part of what you're seeing reflected in the New York Times, and Jennifer spoke about it as well. We do want to make sure that we have a workforce that is collaborating in person when they need to be. But we do recognize we want to make sure we roll this out in a collaborative way with our union partners, with our management team, and we do know it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Dave has driven that point home. So, look, appreciate the patience, and Dave and I have had a good dialogue, sometimes over YouTube, but sometimes we talk to each other. You know, Dave made a joke that sort of rolling out this, looking at doing more in-person work boosted your membership. I will just say this, the Biden administration, the president has said he wants to grow the union ranks in the federal workforce, so that one turned out to be a win-win for us, Dave, just so you know. But we will continue to work with you all as we work through this very challenging process that all federal agencies and the private sector are grappling with as well. How do we take advantages of the flexibilities we've gotten in the COVID era, but bring back, particularly for the FAA, that sense of safety, mission, and collaboration? So I'll close with this. I know past members, and you all, you really are miracle workers. And I've been in government a long time, so when I say that, I do not say it lightly. I know you all are in high demand in industry with your skills and your expertise, but I also know that so many of you get incredible deep satisfaction out of ensuring the safety of the traveling public and the national airspace system, which from where I sit is some of the most critical work in the entire federal government. And we know part of that, and Jennifer alluded to it, is making sure we're giving you the contract you deserve, the resources you need, the training, the workforce development, all the things you need to get the job done, and we are certainly committed to that. All right, I will close with this. On behalf of myself, Secretary Buttigieg, the entire FAA leadership team, let me again express our gratitude to you all and your members for your commitment to public service and to public safety. As a longtime public servant myself, I do think in the end there is nothing more rewarding than going home at the end of the day and knowing that you saved lives, that you made sure that people got home to their families. It's a sacred mission. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Dave, and look forward to taking a few questions.